Good evening everyone and welcome to Great Deltan. Today we are going to be looking at the long-awaited Class 321 by Revolution trains in N gauge. This has just arrived in the post today, so we'll be taking a look at some of the history of these units, and then we'll obviously get the model out. We'll take a detailed look around the model, and then as you can see I finally have some tracks laid so we can get them loco good running. This is the London Midland one, which is one of the first ones to be released. The second lot are in batch 2. And then this is the DC silent one, so I won't be having any sound features on this one. If you are after a sound review, I believe Nick at Rule 1 Model Railways will be doing a review, as he's ordered the full DCC sound fitted version of the Class 321, also in London Midland livery. He, however, I think lives in Ireland, so his may be a bit delayed with the postage, but hopefully that will be out soon and he can talk you through everything you'd like to see and hear with the DCC sound. If you do want to skip straight to the 321, I will put a timestamp in the video, because first of all I'm just going to talk a bit about where I'm at with the stock situation here, and then obviously I've got some tracks laid, so I will show you what I've got done with the layout so far. We also see the return of some weathered stock from West Coast models, which I should talk a bit more in depth about in a bit, but first of all we'll take a look at what's been happening with the stock and the track work. Okay, so we do have some track down. I have laid the 2 outer tracks at the minute, which are the fast lines. I started with those as they're nice and simple, there's no point work, it's all just broad radius flexi track. And then I've nearly finished the dropper wires for them and I can start on the inside. I wanted to get all the track work done by the time the 321 was released, however I've been a bit delayed with work and family commitments, so it's not as far through as I wanted it to be. But we can still run that, it's just the videos won't be released in a very chronological order, as in the track laying video which I have planned, I do start from scratch. So, we've got the tracks coming round here, over the bridge. This will all be the station, and then as they exit the bridge they come onto this large banked curve, which is a very equal semicircle. And then that's some of my new weathered stock which I shall talk through. We come around here into an S-bend, onto a long straight which is on this embankment. That's where the motorway is, which is drawn out, and then it spins round again, S-bends round into the cutting, which is going to be a nice feature. And then that's the scenic break at the back, where I just used some old truck which I had left over from the old layout, and round again into this large, very broad radius curve where the station will be. That over there is my Network Rail NMT by Dapol, which has just been nicely weathered by Anthony at West Coast Models. I'll have a talk through that in a sec. As you can tell, it looks a lot more realistic and a lot nicer. All of the curves on this layout have been super elevated with a little bit of card to add a bit of atmosphere and a bit more realism to it, so I can run high-speed trains and they'll look a bit less train-setty. I do like super elevation, it's something I've included on all of my layouts since I did it with the first Great Deltan, so that's taken a bit of time to get right, but it does add a lot of effect and I'm glad that I've done it. So let's have a quick talk through the new weathered stock. I sent these off to Anthony Sutton, or West Coast Models. You might know him, he's on Facebook and Instagram. They specialise in 2mm or N gauge weathering, which is nice, because quite a lot of weathering sort of, weatherers out there will do double O gauge or anything, but it's nice to have someone who specialises in this gauge. So we've got these 2 pocket wagons by C-Rail and the containers within them also by C-Rail. You can tell he's just done a nice general sweep of the sleeper grime, and then we've got details like the handbrakes and the railings which have been left, and then we've got a few different shades and tones in there which makes a nice overall effect, as these would have been seen on the main line in real life. And then as we come around, we've got similar with the containers. That one's very weathered down, I quite like that effect. Looks like it's been on a ship quite a few times, and then trains and God knows what else. And these are sitting on Revolution Trains KFA container flats, which I now have a full rake of 23 or 25 weathered wagons. So that's going to make a lovely, long, nice container train, all dirtied up and realistic. Next we have the Revolution Trains 92 in GBRF livery. These are generally kept quite clean, and Anthony has mimicked that perfectly in what he's done with this. It's just a general tone down of the paint, with some of the roof details like the pantographs and the sort of transmission cables and wires all dirtied down, along with a bit of roof dirt. And then obviously we've got the super grime on the chassis and whatnot. I will only be using this for my Caledonian sleeper rake, so it's generally quite prototypical to have a fairly clean loco That's going to be hauling passenger services. Next we've got my favourite, which are the Dapple ferry vans, or cargo wagons. I don't know how well the lighting's picking that up, but they look very nice indeed. These are very dirty down, you wouldn't even recognise them as the same wagon as they come out the box. So everyone's been done differently, and they're all very unique, and they're just so realistic now. It's going to be a lot nicer to run these. If you've seen any of Anthony's work, he's done quite a few of the Revolution Trains IZA cargo wagons as well, so they're quite similar to this, and they all look stunning. And then we have the Revolution Trains KFA containers. I don't think too many people have had these weathered, so it's nice that I've got a set. I've sent the DRS Mark IIs away to get weathered as well, along with the 37, so that'll make a nice weathered train. He's obviously done a pretty detailed job on this, because there's all different types of tones and effects on there. We've got the handrails, and then I've actually got the flask, the platforms, the chassis, so everything's been done really nicely. And then we have the Network Rail NMT. Now, if you know what I've said before, this NMT is the Dapple set, or the Gauge Master set, with 3 extra coaches that have been resprayed, and altogether it just looks like a really nice train now. He's gone nicely on the grills on the HST power cars, and then a general coat of grime and a bit of vehicle wash effects on the coaches, and then again the same on the back. So when they have scenery on this layout, that's going to look like a really nice train, that is. Something that Ant's also managed to do is keep the wheels clean, which is something I've not had from previous weatherers. I've always had to put a bit of IPA alcohol in them, but he's managed to keep them clean, so I've not had to spend my time cleaning the wheels to get a good connection on the track. I mean, there's only 8 pickup points on these HST power cars, and you can see how smoothly it's running, so he's done a very good job to keep those nice and clean. So yeah, that's for my weather stock. I will leave a link in the description to West Coast Models Facebook page. I'd highly recommend them for any N-gauge weathering jobs you have. Ant himself is a lovely guy. We had a great chat both times, because he dropped them off as a quite local, but I think generally he goes by post. He's a railway man through and through. He just knows the trains, he knows the stock. He works with photos if he needs to, so you can guarantee that he's going to do a pretty good job with them, as you can tell by all the examples I have here. Also, he, unlike the likes of Mersic Studios, he's quite affordable as well. So I will leave a link in the description. He's got a load of photos on his Facebook page, and you can check out his repertoire portfolio. So then, hopefully, if you need any N-gauge jobs, you can go to him, or at least consider him. So yeah. The only other thing I'll talk about quickly before I get onto the 321 is my HST project, which is my goal to collect all livery variants released by Dapple as a book set, or just as the Dapple, just as HST twin packs. The only ones I've got left to get now are a GWR and a First Great Western, which I've actually managed to secure due to a recent eBay auction. So we've got all the other ones pretty much. We've got the Virgin Trains Cross Country, and then we have the Arriva Cross Country. They're quite hard to find. Intercity Swallow, East Coast. This is the GWR Final Day set, which is technically a Gauge Master set, but it's in a similar Dapple format. East Midlands Railway, East Midlands Trains, Grand Central. We've got the Special, the National Railway Museum LNER set, which is a 2-pack. Well, it's not a book set. We've got the Fag Packet, we've got the Great North Eastern, we've got Intercity Executive, Virgin East Coast, and then Intercity Blue and Grey. I've managed to secure nearly full coach rakes for all of these, so I'm going to be having a nice good running session when I collect them all, and it's going to be just a sort of a nice satisfactory feeling. Okay, so we are now looking at the Class 321, or 320 if you have the ScotRail version, by Revolution Trains. This project was first announced in 2015. I think I ordered my set in late 2020 when the order books were just closing, so I haven't been waiting too long, so I imagine how patient the modelers have been waiting for this for 7 years. But it's finally here now, it's finally in front of us, and we can take a look. This model is quite important to me because I grew up with these trains. They ran from Northampton to London Euston. I grew up on the Silverlinks, and then as London Midland took over in 2007, I mainly went on the 350s down to London, but I still saw these 321s lingering about a lot. So there's a lot of nostalgia in this for me, and quite a few memories as well. So before I get the model open, we'll just take a quick look at the history of this loco. Not a lot of people know, but it's now in its 5th decade of running, as they're still around on the main line today, and they were built in the 80s. So I'll hand over to historian Daniel, and he'll take you through some of the history behind these trains.
The Class 321s were built in 3 batches by British Rail Engineering Limited at their works in York between 1988 and 1991. In total, 117 units were built over this period, and over 100 are still in use today. With a top speed of over 100 miles per hour and a capacity of 300 plus passengers, they really set a new standard of regional rail travel in modern England. Initially built under British Rail, the 3 subclass divisions were allocated among different sub-regions, with 2 subclasses set for Network South East to operate lines from London Liverpool Street and London Euston, and the 3rd headed for regional services in Yorkshire. The first batch was ordered by Network South East in 1987 for 46 sets of Class 321/3s. The first completed 4-car set was unveiled in September 1988, and soon after entered service with other units operating their routes from London Liverpool Street to Cambridge and Southend Victoria. A further 20 sets were then ordered to follow. The second batch, being the 321/4s, were ordered in 1988, also by Network South East, initially intended for services on the Great Eastern Main Line, with 5 sets to go to the West Coast Main Line. However, all units ended up on the West Coast Main Line. These units operated outer suburban routes from London Euston to Northampton, Rugby and Birmingham New Street. The last batch, the 321/9s, were completed in 1991 and ordered by regional railways to operate services from Leeds to Doncaster initially, followed by further routes. With privatisation of British Rail in the 1990s, all units were inherited by the rail operating companies who had succeeded in acquiring the operation of various franchises. The Network South East Class 321/3 sets operating in the east were taken on by First Great Eastern, along with 11 of the 321/4 sets that were operating on the West Coast Main Line. In 2004 they became National Express East Anglia, and then in 2012 Greater Anglia. The 37 West Coast Main Line sets transferred over to Silverlink in 1997 and then to London Midland in 2007 with the franchise takeover. From there they were split up as they were replaced with the newer, more modern Class 350s. 13 sets went to First Capital Connect, which would later become Great Northern. 17 went to National Express East Anglia. After 8 years of retaining the remaining 7 sets for peak services, 2015 saw London Midland finally part ways with the units, going to Abellio ScotRail, where they were to be refurbished into 3-car Class 320s, operating the Glasgow suburban lines. The 321/9s passed from regional railways to Northern Spirit and to Arriva Trains Northern in 2001. From there the sets were refurbished and passed over to Arriva Rail North in 2016 and Northern Rail in 2020. They were finally released to Greater Anglia. The only current operators of the EMUs are Greater Anglia, who hold a majority of the stock, and Abellio ScotRail, who retain the Class 321/4s converted to 3-car Class 320s.
Okay, so let's have a look. These are still available on Rails of Sheffield and a couple of other retailers. I don't think the ScotRail ones are still available for pre-order. They might be sold out. But I think definitely the London Midland, a couple of other Scottish liveries, Silverlink and Network South East are still available. So if you do want to buy them, they are still, you can still buy them. So, as usual, we've got the nice Revolution Trains packaging with the outer sleeve and then the box inside. I have opened this model already just to take a look and to prepare myself for this video. It was really difficult to get this out actually. There's quite a lot of air tightness in this, so we'll slip it out and then we'll have a look. We've got a nice photo on the back with a bit of information about the unit. Let's stick it over here. Let's open it up. We've got an instruction manual which will talk you through DCC fitting, any warranty, any issues, coupling up, and then what's included and parts diagrams. So that's always useful to have. And here we are. So we've got these tweezers here, which I've already read in the instructions are used for coupling up. I don't think you want to use your hands. We've got some NEM couplings. Now these are useful if you'd like to couple 2 units together, because at the minute they're just fitted with dummy couplings. So let's get a coach out and have a look. Let's try and focus this as best I can. I'm not sure how good the lighting is. Let me move the camera into a position where it's a bit more well lit. Alright, so here is one of the N cars. We've got the nicely printed details on the side, like the window frames and the doors, and even the little buttons for the door opening. And then we've got some of these trims along the top, which are quite nice to look at. The front brings back a lot of nostalgia for me. Looking at these units in model form is just a delight. So we've got the dummy coupling on the front. I'm not sure you can see that. It is separate to the bogie, so it will stay close coupled if you choose to couple 2 units together. We have pickups on these axles, and then this coupling at the back is conductive with 3 pins, so you can run the... oh, try and focus that in. So yeah, you can see that coupling on the back. It's got 3 pins. It is conductive, which means you can run the entire train with just the 1 decoder. Not only is that good for expense, because if you look at the Farish 350s or the Dapol 220s, they require 3 decoders to sort of DCC fit them. So only 1 decoder is a nice addition for that. It also means that you've got pickups throughout the entire train, and much like the Pendolinos, that will give it its optimal performance, as it shouldn't stall over any dead bits of track. So look at that. It's got the doors, and then we've got the interiors, which are nice, and then we can turn them around, and we've got all the bits on the front. Now these do include saloon lighting, and there are 2 switches underneath if you want to turn that on or off, if you don't particularly like the saloon lighting. And then the other switch is if you wanted to turn the tail lights off, because obviously if you're coupling 2 units together, there's only going to be 1 set of tail lights on, and that will be on the rear unit. So that's the end car. We'll have a look at the middle car next. Well, here's the middle car, and it's only fitting that the one with the motor has the pantograph on the top. I did accidentally break the pantograph off the top of the bracket when I was getting it out. I think it just needs putting back on, it only clips on, because it was a bit of a pain to get the body off this. I wanted to see exactly where the decoder fit, and it was quite difficult to get the body off. I don't know if that just needs sort of wearing in a bit, taken off a couple of times. And then we've got the couplers on the back again. Zoom in that. And on the front, and then there's a fair bit of weight to this. Much like the Kato 800s or the Dapol Sprinter DMUs, this features a motor which is under the it's under the chassis, so you get the interior still included even on the motor car. DMUs like the Farish 170s and the Farish 150s, you lose a bit of interior or the whole coach completely, because they have a bigger motor, and it's just you lose the interior, so it's not as realistic. So let's have a look at decoder fitting next. I've read the instructions on how to do it, and I've taken the body off to find out where exactly the decoder goes. I'll just grab one of my Next 18 decoders and we'll get to it. I'll be fitting a Zen Next 18 DCC Concepts decoder in this one. So let's struggle again and try and get the body off without breaking anything else. Right, that was a bit less painful this time. So in the power car, you've got this PCB on the top, which also includes the light bar for the coach, and then underneath there, you can see it's the blanking plate for the decoder, just there. So let's prod that out, and then we can stick our decoder in, and then hopefully get this on the track. Quite a nice fit for the decoder. Something I'm not too keen on with the Next 18 decoders is their harness, because they tend to pop out a bit if the if the PCB on the actual decoder is fouling on any other body part. That's especially apparent with the Class 92s. Something which also is a bit handy on this is you've got this block at the end, so if you forget which way the body goes back on the power car, you can always be assured that the pantograph is the opposite end to that. So let's stick that back on, and then we'll get to coupling and getting this on the track for some running. So in the instructions you can see it tells you how to correctly couple these units together. We've got the direction of each coupling, and then we've got that will obviously match the pantograph coach which is there. So it will tell you how to couple them properly. So we'll just line them up all together, and then we can use the special tweezers to push the couplings together. And they clip together ever so nicely. So let me just put the rest of the couplings together, and then we can get this train on the track and get to some running. Okay, so the train is on the track. There was one issue I've noticed, and that is the little plastic casings on the couplings tend to pop off quite easily when you're coupling up. So that's just a bit of an issue I found. The interior lighting looks quite good. Let's just turn this light off and this light off. And we can see that lights up the train quite nicely, but it's not too bright where it's unrealistic. Some of the light bars that you get for the Dapple Mark III coaches are a bit too bright, and they're just a bit unrealistic. So this has obviously had some sort of resistor put in, or they're just a bit dimmer LEDs, and it's a nice level of lighting there. Let's just turn that back on. Another thing I've noticed, which is a nice feature, which is actually detailed on the website. Don't think you can see that, but just in the driver's window is a little indicator for the destination. On there it's Birmingham New Street, which is a nice feature, so that's quite good. So I guess the only thing left to do really is run it. Got my Z21 ready, and then so we can turn the lights on and off, and then obviously the interior lights switched on and off by the switches underneath. Just make sure that we've got tail lights, which we do. Right, let's roll. I forgot that my new measurement train is also on address 3, so that's what the sound you just heard is. It's very smooth, if not a little bit slow for the speed that I've got set on the controller compared to the new measurement train. Let's just speed up a bit. As you can tell, that's on the same speed as the new measurement train, and that's coming around at a lot quicker angle. I'll just take the HST off quickly, so we're just hearing the 321 only. Because it does seem a little bit slow. So it's just coming around the banked curve at the back. One of the trailing cars has just derailed again, and one of the axles on the motor car has also derailed. So I'm not sure if that's a common issue of these units. I did see on N-Gauge Forum on Facebook the other day someone had the same issue. So not really sure what's going on there. See if I can have a look, see if there's any help on the website. You can just see the trailing car at the back. Both axles have come off there. And I think the end cab is also... Oh no, that's still on. But we've got one axle come off on the power unit, and then two axles have come off on this trailing car here. So we'll see what we can do about that. Right, on its way round, the power car re-railed itself, and I put the trailing car back on, and already it's come straight back off. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I don't know if the coupling's a bit stiff, whether it needs loosening up, or just exercising, or whether something's jammed in there, so that'll take a bit of investigation. So, my initial thoughts, it's a very nice model. It's very detailed, it looks exactly like the real thing. We've got nice additional features like the indicated, illuminated indicator boards, the interior lighting, but obviously there are a couple of issues with it which we'll need looking at, such as the derailing, The plastic caps on the couplings seem to come off quite easily, and the pantograph's a bit, I don't know if that was just my heavy hands or not, but obviously I snapped that off when I was trying to get the coach body off, which is another thing you could say. The coach body is incredibly difficult to get off compared to the likes of the 350s and whatnot. It's actually quite a tight body and you feel like you're going to break it when you get it off. So before I leave you, I'm just going to do a quick livery comparison to a Farris 350 just to see if there's any colour differences and if they match. Okay, so here we have our 321 next to our Farris 350. I don't think there's too many differences between the colour schemes, to be honest. I'd be quite happy to say that they're pretty much matched. There's one more thing that I've noticed about this model, and that is the motor. The motor takes its feed off the continuity of the entire train with all the pickups. However, if you were to pick up one coach, the lights go off, and it will stay on in the next coach, which obviously means that the lighting is taken off the pickups of that coach, but not of the whole train. So that's one feature I was a little bit confused about. I thought it might be continuity throughout, but I guess there's probably only so many wires you can fit in that little coupling there. But that's just one feature. Overall, I have mixed thoughts about this train. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. If I can fix that derailing issue, then I'll be more than satisfied, and I would probably recommend anyone to get one before they sell out eventually, and then becoming quite hard to buy. So, I'll probably leave you there. I'll give you some running shots, as it's obviously been quite a while since you've seen any trains run from me, and it's obviously been quite a while since I've had the pleasure of running anything. So we'll put some running shots in there. I'll give you a couple of photographs of the unit close up, and then that'll be me, and hopefully I'll be back soon in a few weeks or a few days if I manage to get it all done with the track laying video. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out West Coast Models for all your weathering needs, and then hopefully Nick at Raw One Model Railways will be doing a DCC sound fitted review of this model. So thanks again, and bye bye.